On August 12th at the O2 Arena and live on DAZN, a score will finally be settled between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. In a clash between all two familiar foes, Joshua and Whyte look to make the first heavyweight splash of the year. Coming off of less than spectacular performances, the winner will place himself back near the front of the line while the loser faces possible retirement. With a possible huge payday ahead against the most devastating puncher in boxing, Joshua is putting everything on the line for bragging rights against his most familiar enemy. Here we look ahead to how these two got here before matching them up stylistically, gauging their speed, power, defense, intangibles, and current form prior to checking out betting odds and the tale of the tape prior to making a prediction. Welcome to the State of Boxing's preview of Anthony Joshua vs. Dillian Whyte 2. In his first fight since consecutive losses to now unified champion Oleksandr Usyk, Joshua returned back in April against the unheralded but very tough Jermaine Franklin. On the night, Joshua employed a cautious performance, initiating constant clinches. Despite a particularly pedestrian start to the fight, he made use of his jab to set up power punches with his right hand, prevailing via unanimous decision, with judges' scorecards of 117-111 twice and 118-111 in his favor. In his first start with 2022 Trainer of the Year Derek James, Joshua, while not spectacular, got the W, which is most important to any fighter coming off of a loss. Following the victory, rumors began to surface of a top 4 heavyweight quartet featuring a doubleheader to take place in Saudi Arabia in December, with Tyson Fury slated to face Usyk and Joshua squaring off in the fight that got away with former WBC champ Deontay Wilder. With that fight all but locked in, Joshua has elected to attempt to continue to fine-tune his skills under his new trainer to give himself the best chance possible against the Bronze Bomber. For Dillian Whyte, this represents his last possible bite at the championship apple. Famously a top contender for the WBC title for years, Whyte finally got his shot in April of 2022 against lineal and WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. After suffering a resounding knockout at the hands of the Gypsy King, Whyte also bounced back with his own tough decision over Franklin, albeit via majority decision in a fight many thought he'd lost. Despite tough negotiations which at times seemed to put the rematch in peril, Whyte signed for the August rematch, most likely due to it still being the most lucrative opportunity for the now 36-year-old from Brixton.
Dillian Whyte's a lot bigger as well, isn't he? I mean, think of sort of their fight again from December 2015. He wasn't this big. Both got to have a good stare down.
Yeah, I mean, they both mean business, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, and I agree with whoever just shouted that this isn't going 12 rounds.
No, I don't expect it to go 12 either. I think that both of them know. They know both can punch. Although, I mean, you look at AJ's recent.
Yeah. And I think it's a great fight. I think it's what both guys need. I think it's what British boxing needs. I mean, let's be honest. You know, we haven't really seen a lot of big British nights over the last 12, 18 months. You know, going back to maybe, I don't know, Brooke Khan, and we had Ben Eubank last year that faded away. So I think this is a great fight. Every time we went to an opponent for AJ pre-Deontay Wilder, which is virtually agreed, he just weren't up for it. You know, it was like Wallin, Caballero, you know, and he was just like, what about Dillian Whyte? Now, that's a great fight. That's a fight I can get up for. And you know, Dillian's going to be dangerous in this fight. Two guys that have everything on the line, really. And I think it's going to be a very, very tense, tight, violent affair.
Matching these two familiar foes on paper to determine who has the advantage, we start in the power category. Though both have scored devastating knockouts in their own respective big fights, Joshua has the higher knockout percentage at 88% versus 66% for Whyte, though Whyte's vaunted left hook remains a factor from the opening bell until the last round. Still, Joshua's overall punch variety and power in both hands combined with his combination punching gives him the edge. Due to his overall better balance and superior athleticism, Joshua may carry an even bigger advantage in the speed department. In fact, this may be his biggest edge in the fight. Joshua's foot speed and better ability to move on his toes will serve him well against the more flat-footed Whyte. Defensively, while Whyte has grown to be more crafty in his veteran years, he is still not known for his defense. With an underrated ability to roll his shoulders and exercise subtle upper body movement combined with a consistent jab that keeps opponents at bay, Whyte has grown more savvy late in his career. Still, due to Whyte's lack of foot speed, Joshua once again gets the edge due to his ability to utilize lateral movement, as demonstrated in his rematch victory over Andy Ruiz to regain the title. In terms of intangibles, there are several key factors that can contribute to who ultimately wins this fight. For starters, some may argue that despite a change to Derrick James as trainer, Joshua's confidence may not be what it once was. It remains to be seen how he'll respond under the lights when and if the fight with Whyte becomes tough. For Whyte, despite his 3 losses, which have all come via devastating knockout, he never seems to lack confidence, coming into the next bout as if nothing happened. He also may hold an advantage that despite one of those losses being to Joshua, he also has an amateur victory over Joshua and seems to have an ability to get under his skin. This combined with Whyte knowing this will most likely be his last big chance at a major fight gives him an ever so slight edge in this one crucial category. Finally, when it comes to their current form, both Joshua and Whyte are coming off of decision victories over Jermaine Franklin, with Joshua's being more clear-cut and Whyte's being a toe-to-toe battle resulting in a controversial decision, and each fighter losing their previous battle to the 2 elite champions of the division in Usyk and Fury. However, with Whyte's losses coming in more devastating fashion, Joshua seems to be the more preserved fighter. For this reason, he gets the nod as the fighter in better form at the moment. The tale of the tape favors Joshua in most physical categories, including a 2-inch height and nearly 4-inch reach advantage. In addition, not only is Whyte 2 years older than his old foe at 35, but as mentioned before, it's an old 35 due to the many wars he's been in, including his 2015 battle with Joshua. Betting odds for the clash have Joshua listed as a massive -600 favorite to repeat his victory over Whyte, with a knockout listed as the most likely method of victory at -115. With odds for Whyte ranging anywhere from +400 to +430, there's value if you believe he can pull the upset, and he's landed his trademark left hook on Joshua before, nearly pulling off the upset the first time. However, with Whyte's continued susceptibility to uppercuts, it's highly unlikely. With a violent history between the two, and most second fights having more action than the first due to familiarity, expect this rematch to end somewhere between 6 and 8 rounds, with Joshua once again having his hands raised via stoppage victory. Overall, due to the lack of action thus far in the heavyweight division, this fight is still worth the watch. What are your thoughts? One fighter gets closer to the title picture while the other's career may come to an abrupt end. Saturday, August 12th at the O2 Arena in London and live on DAZN pay-per-view, we'll get our answer. If you like this content, please share, like, and subscribe.